We now move to the middle of the Super Bowl, which was the halftime show, and I don't think we've done a halftime show segment before, but we're doing one today, and because it was apparently so outstanding and wonderful that got a whole lot of reaction from everybody, good and bad. It was all hip hop. It was all you had Dr. Dre, you had Snoop Dogg, you had Eminem. It was a lot of California based rappers and all the rest of them out there. You had Snoop Dogg, he smoked weed before the performance or whatever. You had Dr. Dre, he said something about the police or something. You had Eminem taking a knee. You had a whole bunch of stuff in there. Drake, I'll be upfront about it. I didn't watch the halftime show. I generally never do. I'm more interested in the game. I think I came down to the basement, played a couple Madden games, and then I went back for the second half. That's how it went down. So anyway, go ahead and tell us what you thought of it.
Well, first, let me say, hey man, don't sound so enthusiastic about the halftime show over there. Everything that you said, that you laid out, definitely happened. First, let me start off by saying, you hear a lot of rumblings about this halftime show being the greatest halftime show ever, and different strokes for different folks. I'm a believer that some people like when Prince performed. Actually, a lot of people like when Prince performed. Some people still blown away about the Janet Jackson and Justin Timberlake for obvious reasons. So I myself, I do think this halftime show had the possibility of being one of the greatest halftime shows ever if they would have did a couple of things. Here's what I would have liked. So they centered the halftime show around Dr. Dre, and they call it Dre Day. And being from LA, I get it. He's like an icon to the people of the city of LA for everything he'd have done from the NWA days to where he's at now. Got it. He plays California Love. Now, Jay, I don't want to insult your intelligence here. I don't know if you're familiar with California Love and the artist that's on there, but that song is with Dr. Dre and Tupac.
Yes, I know the song.
Okay. And that joint is an anthem. That's an anthem in California, right? You put that thing on, anybody from California about to let you know what it is. Dr. Dre starts the song. Now, everybody that's a fan of this song probably felt like me at this point. You saying to yourself, okay, Dr. Dre, you playing this song. Please tell me that you either got a hologram of Tupac or you're at least gonna play his verse of this song. No disrespect to Dr. Dre, but most people are more in tune to what Tupac was saying in that song. He was the guy that brought people to that song. And they didn't do it. So I was already kind of like, yeah. But it was a little chap, per se. So then we go on, Eminem performs, Mary J. Blige performed, and then 50 Cent. Now, I'm a fan of 50 Cent. I was a fan of In the Club when it came out. I remember I was in high school doing my thing, Mardi Gras, 50 Cent, oh yeah, Wankster, all that. I, per se, did not understand what 50 Cent had to do with this celebration. Because it felt like it was a California thing, and then here come one of the biggest rappers out of New York, and he's kind of like, yeah. Now, I later got reminded that the one thing that was kind of familiar with all these outside of Mary J. Blige, I'm not sure if this was true for her, is Dr. Dre discovered Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar. He discovered them. So I don't know where Mary J. Blige really played into that, but okay, if that's the case, then okay, I guess I understand. But I just thought it was a California thing. All right, whatever, cool. So 50 Cent does his thing, cool. He does his song. Mary J. Blige does her thing. Now, once again, friction point, right? Mary J. Blige sang her, doing her thing. Most people like myself that watch Power, that's the kicker. You gotta watch Power.
Yes. Assume
we just seen 50 Cent. Now we're looking at Mary J. Blige. Wouldn't it be cool if she sings the song All We Need and Method Man shows up and sang that song with her since, you know, they kind of in the Power Book Part 2 together, or Part 3. Actually, Part 2, yeah. Part 2 together. That would have been cool because you just had 50 Cent, the executive producer / owner. Now you got Mary J. Blige, and now you got Method Man. Okay, I like where this is going. No Method Man. Okay, now we're getting a little confused. Now what the hell is going on? So now the concert's still going. Want Snoop Dogg doing this thing. You know what have you. Then we get to the point that you just made. Now first and foremost, before I get to the kneeling, who gives a rat's ass that Snoop was smoking weed? He hit the spleezy before he got on stage. Folks, first of all, we're in year 2022. You might want to check the rules and regulations of your state. Marijuana might be legalized in your state and you just don't know it because you live under a rock. Either way, we're in California. Who in the hell cares that he's smoking weed in California? You kidding me? Like, you better knock it off. Let me tell you, in California, they got live boxing shows where all they do is literally smoke weed while people are boxing in California. Like, what do you think? What do you think we know Snoop Dogg for? But either way, all right, I digress. Right? So we moving along, and we get to pretty much the end of the celebration, and Dr. Dre gets on the piano. And he start playing I Ain't Mad At You by Tupac. Once again, he plays that, and I'm like, come on, man, where's Tupac? You want to play the verse? Do something for me. He doesn't do that. That's when Eminem, he kneels. And then, you know, Dr. Dre then gets on the mic and say, you know, he don't say, like, bump the police, but he's like, we don't like the police, like in a very, like, low tone. It wasn't, like, no crazy tone. With all that said, I enjoyed the halftime show, but I didn't feel like it was the greatest halftime show I ever watched. Now, if they would have did those two things for me, or at least did the Tupac thing, it could have been bigger than what it was. That place would have went nuts if you played that verse for Tupac, or if you had the hologram that they use at Coachella or something of Tupac. Place would have went nuts. It didn't happen. Therefore, the biggest talking point out of this is, well, Eminem took a knee. I'm at this point, Jay, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't understand what the hell the problem is. Okay, he took a knee. Okay, cool. I think I'm supposed to be mad about this. I don't quite know what I'm mad about. Or I'm supposed to be outraged by this, but I don't know what I'm outraged about. I think this is more to outrage the NFL. So I'm going to let the NFL be mad about it. I'm just going to say, hey, man, how much was your jeans? Did you mess your jeans up by taking that knee? I don't know. So that said, I turn it over to you, Jay, but I just wanted to, make sure I say very entertaining halftime show, but I wouldn't necessarily call it the greatest halftime show I watched.
All right. Yeah. Yeah, nothing against the halftime show or nothing. Just generally isn't my cup of tea. I would say, like, music in general, I think it seems like it's not as good as it was probably in the days of the 2000s or the 1990s. I think in the 1990s when music that I've listened to, Tupac being right in there, Biggie, Nas, really like Nas. I just don't see those type of icons, in today's, rap game or whatever you want to call it. And maybe I'm missing something, but I'm a jazz fella myself these days, and they not playing jazz at the halftime show. So, but I think some of the stuff that everybody's all up in our arms about, some of it's much to do about nothing. Snoop Dogg smokes weed. I mean, that's what he does. So, again, not my cup of tea, but that's what he does. So, and it's California. You can do a lot in California. You can get away with a lot in California too. We made a little bit of poking the justice system over there, which is kind of like, oh, you did this, you're good, get on out of here. So you have all that going on. I think I did see some of the video of, like, they showed them the fast forward of, like, the production, everybody rushing everything on the field. It looked like you had a lot of cool things going out there. I at least know the names of people, like the California Love, Dr. Dre. I get all that, like, great song. One of Many by Tupac. And I do agree. It would seem like if you do that song and you don't have Tupac's portion in it through whatever you're saying, I don't. The concept of a hologram is above me at this point. But I guess the overall point of that is like his lyrics and all that would be included.
Like
So
it didn't have to be a hologram. They did it one time in Coachella, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever that they had. It was kind of freaky because you really thought it was Tupac. But my thing was, if they would have just played his verse, that would have been fine as well.
right.
They didn't do either.
Okay.
You know
Yeah, and that's where I would definitely agree with you. It's hard to imagine like that song being as good without Tupac being in there. So yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, the whole 50 Cent thing. I did see a bunch of jokes about that. Like he looked like a full dollar or something now. Has he put on some pounds? I'm not judging. Look,
everybody does that though. Like,
sure, yeah. So
you put on weight.
yeah, so you mentioned Power. I would have now if you said they play Big Rich Town, I could get down with that. That's the original Power. I haven't watched any of the what do they call them, the books or whatever after that, the 2 3 what are they on 4 now or something?
Yeah, they're on 4 now.
Okay, is this one Tommy? Is this his story now?
Yeah. The fourth one is Tommy. The third one is about Kanan, 50 Cent, and then the second one is about Tyreek.
Right. Yeah. Okay. All right. Anyway, we're completely off the rails now. I think the other thing was now to get to the whole kneeling. I'm not a big kneeler, but I will say I did think it was touching. You don't get a lot of Tim Tebow tributes these days, so that was very touching. I appreciate him for doing that. Wait, it was a Kaepernick thing? Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Look, if indeed it was a Kaepernick tribute, and I agree with you. I think I'm past all this kneeling. You have the right to peacefully protest and assemble and all that. Go ahead and do it. Rick, we started this thing, it's been 6 years, 5-6 years. It's been a long time since we started the kneeling thing. So I just like to know if it's a Kaepernick tribute, do we need to do that? Can we get past the symbolic gestures and actually do something? If you upset with police brutality and you think that's the scourge of American society, well, get off your knees and go do something about it, for crying out loud. Have you done anything besides give me a symbolic gesture that doesn't add up to anything? That would be my question to that. And how are we doing? Can we get a progress report from the NFL? You got your little end racism banners, and you got Aaron Donald with his stop hate thing. He's out here choking somebody a couple weeks ago. That's a brilliant look. But where are the measuring sticks for the progress? Because some of us happen to like this country. So when you just keep, we look at, I use this analogy all the time, and it's like, we look in the mirror at just who this country is, and we just can't stand the sight of ourselves. That's generally unhealthy. So much as like, if Snoop Dogg choose to smoke weed, and other people, all around the country, depending on, the laws in your state, everybody choose to smoke weed, go ahead and do it. Same thing if you choose to protest and you want to, get at all these different issues, go for it. But that doesn't mean that everyone else has to be on the sideline with the pom-poms cheering you on. I don't choose to kneel. I don't choose to smoke weed. I got a bunch of other things I got to take care of in my own life than worrying about, the big concepts like equity and systematic racism. But, that's generally, I think most people just want to complain. It's not during the national anthem. So you can probably leave the flag alone. And some people, I think it is a stretch. Like if it's a Kaepernick tribute, if you're mad about he knelt during the national anthem, you can be mad about it here, but generally some of these things we don't need to argue about every little thing. Let's move on. Good halftime show from everything I've seen. I'm more about the game myself, but anyway, we'll put a pin in that one.